Hey, hi, hello, YouTube friends and family. Several podcasts ago, and if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say podcast, visit our podcast at theradiotechguys.com. That's theradiotechguys.com. A few podcasts ago, I promised a review of the Drobo Mini, one of my favorite external storage devices. Well, things got busy and I didn't get that review done, but now you're going to get it. So take a look. If you heard about it and you're at all interested, take a look at this video and see what you think. I think you're going to like it, but you decide for yourself. All right, here we go. Now's the part of the video where you get to see my hands. Sorry. So this is the Drobo Mini. It's very small, as you can see. I don't have huge hands. It's small. If you're at all familiar with the Mac Mini, which is the Macintosh or the Apple very small form factor computer that they create, this is about the same form factor. It's very small, very compact, but this actually holds four, 2.5-inch drives or laptop hard drives. Configures them in a RAID array. It's Drobo's own sort of RAID. They call it Beyond RAID. You can read their website and learn more about that. It's very interesting how it works. So to use this enclosure, the first thing you're going to do, this panel on the front is just magnetically held in place. So we can pull it right off. The inside of the panel tells you things about what the colors on the front of the Drobo tell you, and the camera won't focus, so don't worry about that. I'll tell you about it. So as you can see, you've got 4 empty drive bays here. It comes empty. It doesn't come with any drives. But the cool part about Drobo is you can pick and choose the drives that you want to put in it. Unlike traditional Windows RAIDs, it can be any variation of drives. They can all be a different size. They can all be different drive speeds. It doesn't matter. That's one of Drobo's selling points. You can literally take 4 laptop drives that you have sitting around, throw them in here, and it will give you one volume on your Mac or your PC that you can save data to. And not only can you save data to it, but your data is protected from a single or double hard drive failure. We'll talk about that more in a little bit too. All right, so let's say we want to add a drive to this enclosure. Well, I just happen to have a drive here. This is your run-of-the-mill Western Digital 750 gig hard drive. As you can see, this is smaller than a normal hard drive. This is a laptop hard drive, what you would traditionally call a laptop hard drive. And very simply, you slide it into a drive bay, push until it clicks, and boom, you've loaded a drive. I'm not going to put 3 more in there because you can probably figure out how that process goes. Getting them out is just as simple. Push on the drive, and it spring loads right back out. Very, very cool. So why 4 drives, you're probably asking. Maybe you're not familiar with RAID. Maybe you don't know what the benefit there is. Well, the way Drobo works, and really any traditional RAID works, you put in multiple drives. Your data is then striped across all the drives. So if you have, let's say you've got 4 500 gig drives. Drobo has a really cool calculator. You can it's got a graphic interface where you can plug in different drives, and it will tell you exactly how much data you're going to have to use. It obviously saves some of that for protection. So just because you put 4 500 gig drives in doesn't mean you have 2 terabytes of storage. If I recall, you have like 1.3 terabytes, something like that, of usable data. The rest is saved for protection in the event of a drive failure. But the benefit there is, not only are you using multiple drives in a larger volume, if a drive is to fail, your data is okay. Your data is safe. And Drobo makes it almost painfully easy. If a drive fails, this little ring around that particular drive, not ring, but this strip of LED lights will turn red, indicating that drive has failed. You simply pop the cover off, pop that drive out, put a new drive in of at least the same size, but you can put a bigger drive in if you'd prefer. And presto, your RAID is right back in a healthy state. Now it takes it, depending on the size of the discs, maybe an hour or so to rebuild. But here's the cool part. You can continue to read and write from this device while it's rebuilding. You don't notice a difference. And maybe you've got a Drobo in a NAS environment. Same situation. Your users don't know the difference. You simply change the drive out, keep on doing what you're doing. Super simple. And that's kind of Drobo's niche. They decided they wanted to make it painfully easy so that you don't really have to think about it. A Windows RAID, if it goes, well, that's a bummer. And it takes some work, and there's downtime, and it's not the best of situations. But Drobo makes it very simple and very easy, and that's really the benefit of the Drobo. All right, let's talk about its interfaces. So, pretty standard. You've got your power connector, right there. A little power button right there. USB 3, which is nice and fast, about 5 gigabits bidirectional. And then you've got a personal favorite, which is Thunderbolt. Now, this is still Thunderbolt version 1, which means it's 10 gigabits per second bidirectionally, send and receive, or read and write if you're talking about drives. Both of these interfaces are very, very fast. And if you're using traditional rotational drives, such as this Western Digital drive, the interfaces are faster than this drive can spin. So it really doesn't matter if you're using Thunderbolt or USB. However, here's what's cool about the Drobo Mini. Obviously, like I told you, this is 2.5-inch hard drives, laptop drives. Standard SSDs, or solid-state drives on the market, are that form factor. Can you put SSDs in here? Oh, you better believe it. Drobo recommends it, in fact. I personally use a Drobo with 4 SSDs in it. I'm connected via Thunderbolt, and it is unbelievably fast. Unbelievably fast. I can write gigabits of data in a matter of seconds. And it's amazing. And you should consider that. Of course, SSDs are a little bit more expensive. However, they're much less prone to failure. Not impervious, but it's likely going to, the technology is going to change faster than the drive can fail. So don't worry about buying SSDs. They're going to last essentially forever in terms of technology. Obviously, the Drobo Mini was created... Oh, let me back up. You see this door on the bottom? This is cool. If you don't want to use SSDs, this is a slot for an mSATA card. mSATA is a little chip. It looks like a circuit board, basically, that plugs in here and has some storage on it. If you're using normal rotational drives, such as this Western Digital drive, the mSATA card is solid state, and it will actually act as sort of a go-between. If there are files on your Drobo that you access a lot, those files will live on the mSATA card. This is transparent to you. You have no idea it's doing that. But the files live on the mSATA card, which is very fast read and write. So you'll notice an improvement on regularly accessed files if you're using an mSATA. Now, if you're using 4 solid-state drives in the Drobo, obviously you don't need the mSATA accelerator, but it's very useful if you're using standard rotational drives. I did use rotational drives for a while, used an mSATA in the accelerator bay, and did notice a difference. So that is another route to go if you're looking for speed but don't want to pay for an SSD. I get that. All right, what I was going to say, obviously they manufactured this to be portable, and it absolutely is. It's light. Now, it doesn't have any drives in it. It gets a little heavier, but easily portable. However, it also works very, very well in the data center. At the company that I work for, we actually use several of these, more than several around the company, but we have several of them in one of our facilities, actually housing music and commercials for our automation system. We have another one that's housing user folders and even mission critical stuff, financial data, payroll data, all being housed on one of these. Super secure. They're all connected via USB 3 to a file server, or in this case, several file servers. that the users actually access, but this is the main storage device for those file servers, and it works beautifully. We've had drive failures. We've replaced the drives. The users had no idea, other than the accounting people that had to pay for the drive. But everybody else had no idea. So if you want to take it on the road, that's great, and it's ready for that. But you don't have to. This is a great option. Drobo makes a whole line of different RAID arrays, some of them that are, of course, built to be in the data center. But this is the only one that takes this form factor of drives. So if you want to natively use SSDs without adapters, this is the only Drobo that'll do it right now. I just like how small it is and how easy it is to put in a data center, or put multiples in a data center, stack them on each other. That you can do all of those things, and that is really cool. If you do want to take it on the road, Drobo offers something really cool, and that is this case. Oh, Drobo. In the case, you can see, camera focus. Come back with me. Woo! Okay, there we go. I've already got the power cord and the USB 3 cable in here. The Drobo very simply sits down in there. You close it, you zip it, and it's this nice, not hard shell, but rigid shell case that you can then throw in a bag and take with you to whatever, a remote. You can take it on a photo shoot, on a video shoot, whatever the case may be. You can use it, and I like that. Okay, so you've got your Drobo installed, but how do you manage it? How do you configure it? Well, Drobo uses something really cool called the Drobo dashboard. This is the only way to configure it, by the way, so if you don't like it, well, you have to. Sorry. Okay, well, there's an update. I'll do that later. So the Drobo dashboard opens up, and it finds any connected Drobos. And if you have NAS device Drobos, like the Drobo 5N, for example, before it's even configured, the dashboard will find it on your network so that you can IP address it and things like that. So this is the only Drobo I have connected. Let's connect to it. And here it is. So it gives us this nice graphical overview of the drives in the Drobo. Now, in this case, I've got it filled with SSDs. I do still have an accelerator card in there. That's just a leftover. It's not important anymore, but it's still in there. You can click on each individual drive and get serial numbers for it. It tells you the make and the model, which is really cool. In the case of SSDs, it even tells you drive life remaining. And you might be concerned that it says 99. Well, these have been in here for at least a year and a half, possibly 2 years. And they're written to and read from constantly. So while SSDs do have a drive life, you don't have to be concerned with it. We can also look here. If we look at system information, that's the first screen. Tells you the firmware of the device, the interface that it's using, in this case Thunderbolt. You can also look at performance, and this is kind of cool. This will show you IOPS, the speed at which things are being written and read, and whether or not the hot data cache or the accelerator is active. In this case, it is. And as you can see right now, I'm not reading or writing to it. It's sitting idle, and that is fine. All right, so now if we go to the capacity tab, you can see some information about the drive capacity. And like I said, if you've got 4 500 gig drives, you can see it gives you about 1.3 terabytes of usable data. And that's great. That's a lot of data. And in this case, I'm using 638 gigs. I have about 698 remaining, so a little less than half of that space is in use. Let's move on to volumes. You can create... In the case of the Drobo Mini, one volume. It exists as one drive. Other Drobos let you create multiple volumes. You can create different shares, if you will, for a NAS environment. But the Drobo Mini creates one. You can also, of course, use it for Time Machine if you're on a Mac, which is nice. So the tools section gives you all kinds of neat things. Blinking the lights on the front of the Drobo. You might ask why you would ever want to do that. In fact, I'll do it here. You can't see the front of the Drobo, but it does let you know what it would look like in real life over here. We're going to turn that off. The only reason you would do that is if you had several of these stacked up together, maybe in a data center or maybe even on your desk if you had multiples and needed to find this one that you were working on. It lets you indicate it via the hardware very quickly. You can, of course, rename it. You can format it. That's a scary button we won't hit. And you can power it down properly if you need to take it on the road with you. Drobo Reset kind of does the same thing as Format. Format will just erase the data but keep it named and keep it a volume. Drobo Reset turns it back into a factory new device. So you do the entire setup again from scratch. Sometimes you might want to do that if you've given it to somebody else and want to reset it. That's a great way to do that. And of course, you've got your update options for firmware for the device as well as dashboard software versions. Settings, much of the same. Here's the name of the Drobo, how it appears in the dashboard. This is a very important checkbox here. Dual disk redundancy. So out of the box, you're protected against a single drive failure. And as long as you replace that drive quickly, then you don't have to worry about it. But in a dual disk redundancy environment, you are protected against two of these hard drives failing at the same time without data loss. Now, of course, you lose storage space. It takes more of that storage for protection. But if that's something that you're concerned about, you can turn that on and have even more peace of mind. That's nice. Disk drive spin down, that obviously does not apply to the SSDs, but if you have rotational drives, you can let them spin down after a certain period of time to save on drive life as well as power. You can dim the lights on the front. They can be a little bright, especially if you're in a darker studio environment. But you can dim them. Okay, so that's about all of the software. There are dashboard preferences. You can get email alerts in the event of a disk problem or other critical events on the Drobo, and whether or not it's going to show you on screen alerts and all that kind of stuff. If you want it to, this thing will scream at you if there's a problem, which is nice. Some of our Drobos that are most critical, I have set up like that. Others that are a little less critical, I calm them down and say, talk to me only when it's very important. So that's kind of the Drobo. Very nice device. I think you would like it. And if you want to learn more about it, you can check out their website at drobo.com. But most importantly, check out our website at theradiotechguys.com, theradiotechguys.com. And join us live for our podcasts. We film every Sunday at 9:30 Eastern. 9:30 Eastern on Sundays. You can join us live via Google or call in, and we would love to talk to you. And we will see you next time. Thanks, everybody.